For the past 60 years, the American Academy of Implant Dentistry has been at the forefront of pushing the frontiers of dental implants. The late Aaron Gershkoff, one of our founders and implant pioneers, said, "Individually, we are changing the lives of patients. Collectively, we are changing the world of dentistry." He was right. While the AAID has only been around for just over a half century, the science of dental implants has been advanced by light years. It all began when World War II was raging. Men and women in the military were subjected to ordeals no one in history had to endure. They faced wounds and injuries that were never seen before. One young Army dental officer, Dr. Norman Goldberg, took note of the way broken and shattered bones were being treated.
I was reading things about implants in different parts of the body. And when I saw what was being done, I decided that there's no reason why we shouldn't try to replace teeth the same way by implanting it onto the jaw and have it come through the tissues and hopefully hold the denture so people could have something that would be more stable.
With the end of the war, the millions in the military returned home, and they brought with them the lessons learned that would change a world at peace. In 1946, Dr. Goldberg was among those who returned from the war with a revolutionary idea.
I figured that I ought to try to do something about the problems that existed with full dentures that nobody else even thought about, or at least attempted. So I made a prototype of this implant, and when Dr. Gershkoff came in to my office one morning to wish me luck because I opened up a new office, I showed him what I had, and he was so intrigued that he never went back to his office. He stayed the rest of the day with me, and we continued talking about the possibilities.
That meeting led to a lifelong professional relationship that soon began a new branch of medical science, when Drs. Goldberg and Gershkoff performed the first subperiosteal implant, October 7th, 1948.
The first case that we did, we wrote up, it appeared in the Dental Digest in 1949. When it appeared in that journal, we were inundated with mail because everybody all over the country wanted to know information about implants.
This led Drs. Goldberg and Gershkoff to teaching courses about implant techniques and proved that they were onto something revolutionary in dentistry. With the turn of the decade, the 1950s ushered in a decade of optimism and innovation. America was burgeoning with new thinking, sweeping the nation.
We had enough people involved in implants after the first teaching that we did that they decided that this is too important to just let ride without any further development. So they decided to form an academy and be able to discuss the different problems that came up with implants, and also a chance for everybody to learn from everybody else.
In the fall of 1951, Dr. Fred Metz picked up on Dr. Goldberg's dream of peers teaching peers and organized the first meeting where everyone could share their knowledge. That meeting, held February 4th, 1952 in Chicago, with 14 dentists and 4 laboratory technicians, was the inaugural conclave of the American Academy of Implant Dentures, today known as the American Academy of Implant Dentistry. In Dr. Goldberg's words, a chance for everybody to learn from everybody else has been the foundation of the AAID. Our members were true pioneers. They tread where dentistry had never been before and ventured into unknown frontiers of science, and their imagination built on one another's innovation to open the doors of the future for implant dentistry. There's a saying about reaching higher by standing on the shoulders of giants. And that's how the American Academy of Implant Dentistry has achieved the heights we now enjoy in the 21st century. Every day, new giants emerge in the Academy as our members make breakthroughs with inventive new devices, unique procedures, and ingenious techniques. Progress never stops, and AAID keeps everyone informed and on the leading edge of implant dentistry. However, the journey through the past to the present was not easy. Today, when you consider the prevalence of dental implants, it's hard to imagine that in the early days, there was a lot of opposition to the procedures.
Well, the interesting part of it is that when we first started, nobody would look at this with a 10-foot pole. They avoided it. They thought that we were out of our mind and we were looking for trouble. And then as time went on, things started to evolve, and one thing led to another, and things developed, and things looked pretty good, and people wanted to get involved. But at the beginning, periodontists, oral surgeons wouldn't even look at it.
There was a strong force against implant dentistry in most of the schools. And in fact, the early developments in implant dentistry all of them came from academy people, not from academia.
Implant dentistry had no respect, and when we started doing implants, it was kind of the mentor system. You tried something out, and if it worked, you told your friends, and they did it, or they'd come to your office to watch you do a procedure. It was all the whole mentor system, and we didn't have much going for us.
It was a hostile environment, unfortunately, and with each implant I had done, I met with more opposition.
At the time I was in dental school, people who did implants were, charlatans or people that were questionable, and fortunately it became, an established science, and we do them now routinely and regularly.
It took a lot of pioneers in the beginning and a lot of courageous doctors to step out of their comfort zone and go against their social societies to do this stuff. And the people of the American Academy were sometimes harassed. But now it's common worldwide procedure, so that's so much fun to be a part of it in the beginning.
The resistance to implants was unfounded, since membership to the Academy was more rigorous and more selective than any other medical or dental organization.
I applied for membership, and at that time there was an exam that you had to take. Other than the people that started it, they always had an entrance exam. It was the only group that had that. And they had an exam, and that was to become an active member. It's probably the equivalent of the credentialed member today.
Gaining professional acceptance for implant dentistry was challenging. The established dental societies wouldn't sanction and support it without a body of evidence to validate implants. And dental schools weren't doing the research to provide the body of evidence. Yet dental implants remained very appealing to denture users. Dr. Leonard Linkow became the father of implant dentistry. And as any good father, he fed it, nurtured it, taught it, and showed it to the world. He realized early in his career that existing implant systems were limited or inadequate. So he immersed himself in research and began to develop his own methodologies. He lectured at 19 universities in the United States, traveled to Europe, Asia, Japan, and South America to teach this exciting field of dental implantology. He wrote 18 textbooks, placed over 19,000 implants, and has 35 patents. For over 40 years, Dr. Tatum has been most gracious in giving his time and knowledge to advancing the discipline of implant dentistry to the dental profession. The lives of many patients and dentists have been enriched as a result of Dr. Tatum's innovative thinking, research, and implant techniques that he developed.
In 1977, I remember making a slide saying the goal of modern implantology is to accept for treatment a patient at any stage of dental disease, atrophy, or trauma, and, with general health permitting, predictably restore that patient to normal contour, comfort, function, aesthetics, and health. That's been my goal. That was my goal in 1977, and it has stayed my goal.
There was a great deal of difficulty in getting this used throughout the profession, more so than throughout the public. The public became more acceptable of this form of treatment than did the profession. However, it was a constant battle to get us into different things. And I was able to, for whatever reason, get into the organized dentistry sphere, which some of our members were not.
The reason for getting academia involved in implant dentistry is one thing, and that's to get respect. And by having a department, whether it be at NYU, or whether it be at Loma Linda, or whether it be at any other dental school, the respect that we have gotten now, we're no longer these sharpshooters who shoot by the hip. We know what we're doing, we have programs that work, and education is the key to the future. And of course, in the academy, we're doing lots of good education all over the world.
As the field matures more and more, certainly the existing specialties are able to do implants, but nobody really is addressing the field as a specialty level. You know, there are periodontists, and they study perio at a specialty level, but they don't study implants at a specialty level. They get introduced to implant surgery. In prosthetics, they study prosthetics at a specialty level, but they don't do implant prosthetics and implant surgery at a specialty level. They do it at an introduction level.
AAID has brought implant dentistry a long way, from a much maligned concept to the standard of care. The American Academy of Implant Dentistry has been at the forefront of making that happen. Through innovation, education, and dedication, AAID has given implant dentistry a future. Throughout the American Academy of Implant Dentistry's 60 years, there have been remarkable advances in new techniques and procedures leading to professional acceptance.
What really changed the field to a great extent was that, unbeknownst to me, in Sweden they'd been doing some research with a screw implant which they were also burying and waiting until it became firmly anchored or ankylosed to the bone. They called that osseointegration.
As new science emerged, implants gained traction in the academic world. Many dental schools started offering implant courses. Dr. Bob James at Loma Linda University Dental School and Dr. Paul Schnittman at Harvard University Dental School initiated postgraduate mastership tracks in implant dentistry in the mid-1980s. The American Academy of Implant Dentistry knew graduate and postgraduate education programs were the key to recognition of dental implants by the dental profession.
They wanted people to be educated. They wanted this to be a profession. They wanted it to be a science. And the people in the academy were very, very respectable individuals, people who you quickly looked up to, who you wanted to mentor with, have them as mentors. And I wanted also to join a group of people that had the same like opinion. You know, you want to be in groups that are people like you. And the Academy is just an incredible bunch of people who think, you know, they're outstanding thinkers. They think outside the box. They always have.
When implant codes started to be formulated for insurance companies, I was able to influence the group at the time that was putting that together to include codes on implant dentistry. There was a conference which was called National Institute of Health Implant Consensus Conference, which was held in 1988. And at that time, it was an attempt to clarify the position of implant dentistry, which it did, in that it took it out of the realm of being a new procedure into the realm of being a standard practicing procedure. Somewhere around 1990, there were a lot of things happening in implant dentistry there were a lot of turf battles, and there were a lot of people who for many, many years fought implant dentistry, suddenly became very interested in it, and were trying to isolate who could treat patients and who couldn't treat patients, and it sort of got a little bit contentious out there.
I believe one of the pivotal events was the recognition by the American Dental Association, professional societies, and dental schools of the importance of implant dentistry.
At last, implants were given the respect and recognition they deserved. They had at long last arrived. The American Academy of Implant Dentistry understood that the final piece to the credibility puzzle was to provide a credentialing examination that was as challenging as the other dental specialty boards and reflected the professionalism that dental implants had achieved. To accomplish this, AAID worked with an unimpeachable expert in education. Together, they established the credibility of the examination process for the American Board of Oral Implantology, Implant Dentistry.
I want this exam to be beyond reproach, that nobody could ever question it, and it should stand up both educationally and legally, and those criteria have been fulfilled, and nobody has ever challenged or questioned the validity of this test for credential.
To maintain the high standards of the Academy, the AAID established a research foundation, and the motto of the foundation sums up its mission. The future of implant dentistry will be built upon the commitments we make today. The Research Foundation gives grants annually for dental implant research.
One thing that I've done actively within the American Academy of Implant Dentistry has been a proponent and member of the Research Foundation. And the Research Foundation, as with study clubs and as with other organizations, have actively supported young individuals coming through dental school and other professional programs to conduct research on surgical implants in dentistry.
As the Academy grew in stature, it was only natural that the premier publication in implant dentistry would follow suit. The Journal of Oral Implantology has long been a primary source of information that kept the members up to date and initiated the careers of others.
The journal really started out as the Journal of Implant Dentistry, and it was started by Dr. Germain in Rochester, New York. And after 4 or 5 years, incidentally, it was a digest size, sort of like the Reader's Digest, and it had 3 articles. And of course, they weren't refereed. I saw it grow from a journal that had 2 or 3 articles to one that sometimes had as many as 10 or 11.
I've managed to collect all the AAID journals back to the very first ones, which I've always read.
The JOI has gone from 40 pages to 120 pages and is issued 7 times a year. The circulation of the journal goes to over 4,000 dentists in 68 countries and 288 national and international libraries. It's hard to say where implant dentistry would be today without AAID's 60 years of committed leadership. Where will implant dentistry be in the next 60 years? That is hard to predict. However, AAID will be at the forefront of dentistry. Today, the American Academy of Implant Dentistry represents over 4,000 general dentists, oral and maxillofacial surgeons, periodontists, endodontists, and prosthodontists. The central office is on the 7th floor of the ADA building in downtown Chicago, with an executive director and staff of 9 professionals. Its mission is to advance the science and practice of implant dentistry through education, research support, and to serve as the credentialing standard for implant dentistry for the benefit of mankind. The Academy provides bona fide credentialing in implant dentistry with the Associate Fellow and Fellow credentials that have been vetted by both state and federal court verdicts.
I'm absolutely excited about getting my Associate Fellow. It's a landmark, obviously. It's something that I had set out to do many years ago, and I finally disciplined myself, which was a wonderful thing. That in and of itself helps build character, because the necessary materials and the way they had to be put together forced me to think about things that I normally even wouldn't think about. And also, the examination, even though everybody's worried about it, was revealing.
AID is recognized throughout the dental profession as the foremost source of practical education for practicing implant dentists. The Academy co-sponsors national and international maxi courses that provide 300 hours of lectures, laboratory, live surgical, and clinical experiences for dental professionals looking for learning opportunities in the placement and restoration of implants. There are also district meetings, sponsored courses, study clubs, and the annual meeting of the American Academy of Implant Dentistry. The AAID is also the sponsor of the American Board of Oral Implantology Implant Dentistry. They certify dentists as diplomates in implant dentistry. Every year, the AAID's annual meeting brings together approximately 1,500 implant professionals and staff to share their knowledge and experience.
This is my first time here, so I'm getting to know a lot about implantology. It's bringing me to a different direction in dentistry. Like, I've been practicing for 8 years now, and now it's something new and something adventurous, and I love it.
I've been a credentialed member in the organization for several years. Look forward to the annual meeting each year, and this particular one is outstanding. Great group of speakers, excellent venue, very well put together. The organization is just top-notch. I think it's the best that implant dentistry has to offer today.
The Academy has always been about people as well as implant dentistry. This has been an organization dedicated to fellowship, sharing, and supporting one another. The Academy has come a long way since its humble beginnings.
The innovations and the things that we saw, everybody was trying to make things work. And the best thing about these early meetings were people were sharing their information, and they would highlight their failures and their problems, looking for solutions. And by sharing the problems, and people learned to do the things correctly, and that was a tremendous amount of fun at that time, because it wasn't just people showing their work off, it was trying to advance the implant scene.
The important thing is to be a catalyst for the future and to teach the young dentists where we're going, and they'll come up with their own ideas to improve everything we've done already. And that's the important thing, and that's the legacy I hope to leave.
I didn't know anything about the AID. I was putting implants in for almost 4 years. I didn't know anything about it. So somebody says, hey, you ought to join this implant organization. I said, what implant organization? I didn't know there was one. And they said, yeah, there's a meeting in New York. And so my wife and I went, we walked in, we didn't know anybody. The friendships we've made in this academy, get together on important occasions, weddings, bar mitzvahs, whatever. And you know, it's just a lifetime experience. And if I wasn't involved in this field, my life wouldn't have been like it is.
The feeling is awesome to know that I have contributed something to dentistry that will go down as something that never existed before, and I feel very proud about that.
60 years of experience, of achievement, of growth. The American Academy of Implant Dentistry, built on the shoulders of giants.